The X factor of the Oklahoma City Thunder is here. It's not their MVP in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and it's not their former second overall pick who is coming back from injury in Chet Holmgren. It's actually Jalen Williams. The difference between this team getting knocked out in the playoffs and potentially winning a championship might just rely on this 23-year-old who might just become the best Robin in the league. Jalen Williams is currently in the midst of a breakout season where he was nominated with his first ever All-Star appearance, while the Thunder are on a 10-game lead in a bloodbath of a Western Conference. So what better game to point out than his 41-point career night against the San Antonio Spurs to show just exactly how he is the X factor for this championship level team. 41 points doesn't happen by accident, not even against a bottom 10 defense like the San Antonio Spurs. Last night's display was an excellent showing of how when Williams is feeling it, the OKC offense is absolutely moving. Jalen Williams is absolutely lethal when it comes to the mid-range shot. He shot at 47% this year, and when you look specifically from 10 to 16 feet away from the hoop, like around that elbow range, a shot that he absolutely loves, he does that at a rate of 51%. That's higher than some notable mid-range shooters like Jalen Brunson, DeMar DeRozan, and even Steph Curry. And being a deadly mid-range shooter is what opens up his entire offensive game. Now, Oklahoma City likes to use him off of a curl action, most often with Isaiah Hartenstein. And that curl action right here against Miami shows off his mid-range skills. But they ran this curl action again twice against the San Antonio Spurs last night, each seeing different but very effective results. Like this play here, it required Jeremy Sohan to step up, and that allowed Isaiah Hartenstein a free roll to the hoop. Later in the game, they run the exact same action with the exact same defenders. This time they guard Hartenstein slipping to the hoop, and that just allows Jalen Williams to beast and feast his way into the paint, and that's an and one finish. And those tough finishes are a huge part of Jalen Williams' game. According to NBA.com, Jalen Williams finishes around the hoop at a rate of 65%. This is similar to guys like Paolo Banchero and even Zion Williamson. And that rate of 65% is actually down when compared to last year. However, to complement that, Jalen Williams has been getting to the free throw line at almost a whole more attempts per game this year on a pretty similar shot volume. But how exactly does he do this, floater alert? You're probably asking yourself right now. Well, my child, let me tell you a little bit more about J-Dub. What makes Williams so effective, and the reason why I call him the league's next big Robin, is because he is the Thunder's glue man. He can do anything in their offense, and he can do anything that they need without having a complaint about it, and without it actually shaking up the tone of the Thunder's offense. As I said, he finishes effectively at mid-range, and he also finishes pretty effectively at the rim, but it's the way he gets to the rim that makes him such a good player. He's able to complete these shots at such awkward angles. He puts the ball off the glass in just such a perfect way to where he's able to complete it no matter what the defense is doing to him. So Williams finishes great at the rim, and he does so with great control. He does a great job bouncing the ball off the backboard, and he does a great job at handling and dishing out contact. At the end of the day, the man is a pure athlete. He is 6'6", 220 pounds with a 7-foot 2-inch wingspan, and he has great speed, athleticism, strength, and vertical. He is the perfect athlete to be a rim runner in the modern NBA. And take a look at this shot against the New York Knicks and tell me that this kind of finish doesn't remind you of a young LeBron barreling to the hoop against the Detroit Pistons. As great as Jalen Williams is with the ball, he might be even more effective without the ball in his hands. According to NBA.com, he sits in the 64th percentile of all handoffs, scoring about 1 point per possession, and he's in the 71st percentile of all putbacks. But what makes him absolutely elite is that he is at a mind-boggling 90th percentile when it comes to scoring off of cuts, averaging 1.53 points per possession when he cuts to the hoop. This is absolutely insane. And then you partner in a good passer like Isaiah Hartenstein, like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and you have a recipe that is incredibly difficult for defenses to guard. Just iHeart and J-Dub alone gives you an incredibly reliable 2-point attack, and that is without using your MVP. So you take into the fact that he has the toolkit to be one of the best finishers in the league. He's one of the best mid-range shooters in the league. And you put in the fact that he can do this with or without the ball in his hands, and a 41-point night sounds incredibly reasonable for J-Dub. Especially when you add in an above-average shooting streak that he's been on recently, and a bottom 10 defense, 41 points is more than doable for him to replicate as the season goes on, and I think it's something that he's going to do as the year goes on and as we head into the playoffs. But Williams has been on an absolute tear ever since his first ever All-Star game. In the 6 games that the Thunder have played since then, he's been averaging 24 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, and a 44% three-point percentage, and a 60% true shooting percentage, which is absolutely insane. And what makes everything that I've said crazier is the fact that we've only talked about 1/3 of J-Dub's game. Yes, because Jalen Williams, while being an amazing player to go into this Thunder offense, and he doesn't take away from the Thunder's offense, he is also one of, if not the best defender on the greatest defensive team of all time. And that is why he gets so many comparisons to the great Scottie Pippen. When I say that he is the next great Robin, do not take this as an insult, as there are only a few players in NBA history that belong in the same breath as Pippen. Just like Scottie, Jalen Williams has the speed to guard on the perimeter, but the strength to match up with big men down low, such as him absolutely locking up Karl Anthony Towns right here. He also has great hands, and this has been shown in the fact that he is averaging more steals and more blocks per game this year, while actually averaging less fouls. And to show how impressive this is, currently the Oklahoma City Thunder team are 4th in total fouls per game this year. So you take a team that has a lot of fouls, J-Dub doesn't get fouls, but he produces results. He and the rest of this legendary Thunder defense are great at nagging you when you have the ball, they're great at helping out each other, and they have great hands when it comes to poking the ball away, making it just a nightmare to dribble against them. To further illustrate how good his on-ball defense is, he has a defended field goal percentage of 41%. That is good for 13th in the entire league amongst guards. His teammate, Lou Dort, is 14th amongst all guards, and his other teammate, Alex Caruso, is 1st amongst guards in opposing field goal percentage. So you take the 3 of them, and these guys are basically impossible to shoot over. Let's say you're lucky, and let's say you aren't matched up against J-Dub with the ball in your hands. Then you're in the clear, right? Assuming you aren't going up against Caruso or Dort or Shai, or maybe even Hartenstein. Let's just assume that you're not going up against any of those players. Then you're in the clear, right? Wrong, because Jalen Williams is also an amazing off-ball defender. He plays off-ball with absolutely fantastic energy. He's great at rotating over. He has one of the best closeouts that I've seen in the entire league. He is currently 6th in total deflections, once again showing off those active hands, and he makes every single pass difficult for the opposing team. So on a team that has high amounts of fouls, Jalen Williams does not commit fouls. He actually has been committing less fouls this year when compared to last year. On a team that has legendary defense, he can guard you with or without the ball in his hands. You take in incredible size, IQ, strength, athleticism. You have just one of the best defenders in the league. And one of the best defenders in the entire NBA has been giving you 24 points per night on a 61% true shooting percentage after making just his first All-Star appearance. And oh yeah, he's only 23 years old. And one more part of his game that I need to mention is his game in transition, something that I would say is even LeBron-like. In transition, his IQ, his ability to finish, his pull-up mid-range, and his athleticism are all put together in a 6'6", 220-pound body with a 7'2" wingspan. J-Dub speeds this team up as the Thunder's pace goes up by about 2 possessions when he's on the court per game. According to NBA.com, he sits in the 64th percentile when it comes to points per possession in transition. However, when you look at it in just points per game, he averages about 4.7 points per game because of transition alone. Looking at it from just a scoring value, that puts him in like the 90th percentile of the entire league when it comes to scoring in transition. I feel like every single game, I see Jalen Williams go coast to coast at least once. He causes a stop on defense, gets the rebound, says, nah, I'm not gonna pass it to my teammate, And the man just goes coast to coast, and 90% of the time, it seems like he gets an and one finish on top of that. Look right here as how he deflects the ball in transition against New York, stopping the fast break. And look right here again, when the entire arena thinks that the Knicks are going to get 2 points here in transition, well, everyone except Jalen Williams thought that, and he stops them. Guys, these are championship level plays. If you see players doing this in the regular season, imagine what they're doing in the NBA playoffs. If they're taking regular season games this seriously, and they're taking it this seriously to stop 2 points in transition, imagine what J-Dub is going to do in the playoffs when the intensity is even higher. This right here is what Jalen Williams is. He is a championship level player on a championship level team. He hustles when others don't, he guards who others can't, and he always puts in 110% effort. He is the kind of glue guy that a team needs not just to win one championship, but to start a potential dynasty. But despite taking on a massive role on defense and clearly producing for it, he doesn't let that slow down his offensive game, because he can be your main guy on offense, or he can just sit there next to Shai and just play when the team needs him to make plays. J-Dub is already an all-star player, and I have no doubt that he is going to get another one. But I don't think all-stars are going to be the end of the accolades we see this man take home. While he may never win Defensive Player of the Year, I will definitely be rioting if we don't see that man on an all-defensive NBA team. Honestly, half of this Oklahoma City roster deserves to be on an all-defensive NBA team. And I think in this man's future, All-NBA just on its own might be something that we see him lining up for. Because I need to say it one more time, 24, 6, and 6 on a 44% three-point percentage while playing amazing defense is not just an all-star player, it's an All-NBA player. It's not even just a Robin, that might just be a Batman someday. And I gotta stress to you, this is only J-Dub's third year in the league, and he is producing like this. It is his third year in the league. He is 23 years old, and he is a very capable number 2 on what is probably the best team in the NBA. Jalen Williams might just be the glue man on the next homegrown NBA dynasty. Jalen Williams encompasses the Thunder and what they could be. A gritty defensive stalwart with a more than comparable offensive game. J-Dub isn't just a future star. He is a star right now. He is more than just the glue. He is more than just even a Robin. He is the Thunder's X factor to winning an NBA championship. Wherever the Thunder finish this season, whether they overperform and win it all, or whether they underperform and need to make some additions over the offseason, I am confident in saying that that is going to be because of Jalen Williams.